Hello everyone! In today's video, I'll be using only 12 color pencils to color in this drawing. So the color pencils that I'm using is the classic Prismacolor pencils. They are the premier 12 color pencils, and they have the primary colors like red, yellow, and blue, and other colors as well. So I started off with this sketch here. So on the left side of the page is the challenge that I'm doing with only 12 color pencils. Then on the right side is going to be a mixed media. Now I don't really film the process on the right side, the right page. This video is going to be focused on the left page and just on the 12 color pencils. That's what I'll be using for the coloring. So for this drawing, the initial sketch, I wanted the character to have a dynamic pose. I wanted there to be movement. I wanted there to be life. And that's one of my main goals actually in the sketchbook is for the characters to be in motion and not just to be standing there, ideally, So for this pose in particular, I wanted it to be like a happy pose, or where there's like a lot of energy and this character is really in the moment and they're enjoying the moment that they're in. So I was thinking about happy, so then I was thinking about the arms should be up and above the head, because there's a lot of correlation between the body position and the facial expression. So for a character that is in a happy position, their chest will be open, the arms will be spread out wide, versus like a sad character, they would be like more scrunched up in their pose, and maybe their arms will be crossed in front of their chest, they will be facing downwards. So those are just some things I think about whenever I am thinking about how I should compose a drawing. Then for the face here, this is just initial sketch, but you'll see later that I really emphasize the size of the mouth, which should be like larger. That was my goal. And then the eyelashes, I really wanted to emphasize those as well. Now that is just like a personal preference, like a stylistic choice to make the eyelashes larger. But yeah, I always like to focus on the face and to spend a lot of time on the face because that really brings out the entire character. Then for the left arm, so in my initial drawing, I actually drew the left arm a little bit shorter than I wanted, and so then what I did was I kind of extended it outwards, and I realized that the left hand didn't have any space, and it kind of just got cut off on the left border there. So I was like, it's fine if that happens. This is just a little sketch, a fun little sketch in my sketchbook. Nothing too serious. But yeah, that also really happens to me whenever I'm like doing photography. Like everything in the photography or the picture that I'm taking is perfect, the lighting or whatnot. But then just one part of it is just a little bit off. Like for example, someone's top of their head is outside of the frame or something like that. That happens to me a lot, which is why I'm glad that I'm not in photography professionally, because that would really be a disaster. But yeah, this one is just a fun little drawing, so I wasn't too worried about it. And then whenever I'm drawing, I like to think of the backstory behind the characters. So for this one, I was thinking about like kind of like a camp counselor vibe, mainly because of the flannel and then the boots. So I wish I kind of played into that more. I didn't do that, but like I wish that I added like a whistle necklace around the character's neck, and then maybe like add some trees in the background or just any kind of camp elements. So that's something that I probably want to go back and add if I ever were to go back. Now that's probably something that you guys will see if I do a flip through of the sketchbook. Maybe I would like tweak it before then, but I don't know. yeah, so is that something that you guys do? Like, do you guys go back to your finished sketches and like tweak it, or do you guys just leave it as is? I guess you guys can like comment below, because I'm like actually interested. And then I think here I started sketching the shoes and all those different details. I've always found that shoes are like a really weird shape. For some reason, I can never visualize the shape of shoes, especially if it's like the front view. I don't know. It's like a very strange shape to me. I like the side of the shoe is a lot easier than the front. Or like this, for this position here in this character, where it's like kind of facing not in the front but kind of sideways. So that shape is really hard to get down right. So I really just throw a bunch of lines and see like which ones I like, and then just make those lines darker. So I really just build up the line work there. So not only shoes, but like also like drawing noses is pretty difficult because of the weird shapes, it's like irregular shapes. But yeah. And then I think I go into the inking part of the drawing. And for the hair, I actually I outlined each hair strand, so I added a lot of details to the hair. Now, thinking back on this, I don't really know why I did that, because I wanted to color in the hair like a dark brown color, and that dark brown color really covered up a lot of the line work. So I don't think that was the best move ever. Probably if I wanted to color, if I wanted the lines to show through, I should have picked like a lighter color, maybe even like a pink, like the light pink pastel color. That would have looked really nice and pretty, and the lines would have really shown through, because if I was gonna spend the time going through all this line work, I want the details to show up. Such pretty line work. But yeah, so that's something that I want to think about in the future. Then for the other parts of the drawing, I just continue to use this fineliner. I only have one width of this fineliner, so I don't really know what the size is on this one. It might be a 0.7, not entirely sure, but I really wish that I could vary the lines here. I guess what I was thinking about doing for future drawings is maybe to go over some of the lines a couple times with the fineliner, and try to taper some of the lines, so that it would give like a brush pen kind of aesthetic. So maybe I could go over some of the lines a couple times and just add like a tapering effect to it. I don't know if I could achieve that or not, but that is something I want to try out. Then for the shoes, I really tried to add all the sorts of different details, the different lace. Now, with shoelaces, is kind of tricky because you don't want to add too many lines and make it too muddy, I guess. I don't know if muddy is the right word, but with shoelaces, you kind of want to add the details, but then not add too many lines where it just overcomplicates the drawing. So there's like a fine balance there to be had. But yeah, and then here I'm going in with the brush pen that I have, which is a lot thicker than my fineliner that I have. And then recently with my drawings, I just choose like one area of the drawing to use the brush pen. So for this particular drawing, I chose the flannel. Now, the reason why I did this is because the flannel surrounds the character. So I thought that it would be like a nice border around the character, and it would help the character stand out on the page and, really just give it like a pop, But yeah, I really love using the brush pen. It's one of my favorite mediums to use. It's really fun, and you can just play around with the lines a lot. In here, I am using the color pencils, and for this entire coloring process, my goal was to think of the coloring process in layers. So like each area of the drawing, I wanted it to have like multiple layers of color, and then each color I wanted to apply the same amount of pressure with the color pencil, and just keep adding more and more layers with different colors. But that was my intention. I can't speak today. That was my intention, but what I really did was like something completely different, Sometimes what happened when I was drawing this is that I went on autopilot. So I added too much pressure on my pencil and created too much color or too much shading to like a couple areas. So that kind of caused some parts of the drawing to have more pigment than the other parts of the drawing. So it kind of created like a patchy feel. And there's like a lot of white gaps between the shades of color. And that was really not like the look that I was trying to go for. I was hoping more for like a smooth finish, like a nice solid color, like a gradient almost. So what I tried to do then was go back, and wherever I saw those patches, I kind of try to smoothen it out with like an eraser, or I would just try to smudge it and try to really try to smooth out that patch. But yeah, that's something that I want to get better at in the future. Now, I don't really know if it's because of the paper that I'm using, or is it just only because of the way of how I'm holding the pencil and applying too much pressure. But yeah, that's something that I want to play around with. But the Prismacolor pencils are pretty nice. They layer really easily. Like, I don't have to put that much pressure on the pencil. The color just goes over it, which is really nice. And throughout the entire drawing, I was thinking like, oh, am I like putting too many layers? Like sometimes if I put too much layers with like paint or whatever, like it buckles to the paper or smudges everywhere. So that's what I was not sure about here. But it looks like I could just keep going on and keep adding more layers, and it was fine. Like the paper was taking it. So that was really nice. But I don't really know if I will like use color pencils only for coloring in the future. I feel like I like to use a mix between like markers, acrylic paints, and really mix it up. I think color pencils are really good for like the finer details, like maybe a little bit shading here and there, but just not like larger shapes. I feel like with larger shapes, it takes a lot of time for it to like, for the colors to come through and for it to create like a nice opaque color. But yeah, you just need to have a lot of patience and dedication with color pencils. Then here I'm just like coloring in the shorts. Now for each area of the shapes, I like kind of colored in with like a light brown color so that it creates like a cohesive color scheme. Then I think I'm coloring in the skin here. Now I don't really have a peach color in this 12 color set, so I was just using a light brown, and then I think I also used like orange and red to create the skin color tone. Literally whatever color looked remotely close to peach color, I used it on the skin, and then I smoothened it out here. So yeah, that's pretty much this drawing. I think it's pretty close to the finishing here. And then I think later in the video, I showed this left side of the page, this drawing, and then the right side, which has like the mixed media and the markers. And I just went crazy with that, the right side of the page. But yeah, this was the entire drawing process of 12 color pencils. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And thank you all so much for watching.